Hello and welcome to the Culture Swally, a podcast dedicated to Scottish news and pop culture. My name is Nicky, and I'm joined as always by the man who often nowadays drinks a pint of semi-skimmed milk in the pub because he's pissed on his own car far too many times in the past. It's Greg. How are you today, Greg?
I'm not bad. I'm looking forward to sort of legislating that choice by the character in our film later on. That's all the things you could drink in the pub.
Well, they are two things I want to discuss later in terms of drinking a pint of milk in the pub and pissing on your own car. Two different characters, of course, though. We'll come on to that later on. How are you today, buddy?
Very well, very well. Not related to Scottish news or culture, but I feel like our listeners might be interested. I've got a bit of a theory about two very famous wrestlers that I want to... I want you to hear my case and then let me know, and then let me know your thoughts, right? So,
okay,
my case is this. Did Hulk Hogan, in his All-American Hero phase, basically rip off Big Daddy? Because Big Daddy, if you remember, Union Jack top hat, Union Jack sparkly cape, red and blue leotard, never ever lost a match as far as I know, Big Daddy. Hulk Hogan, All-American Hero, Stars and Stripes, coming out with the American flag, being a role model, take your vitamins, lost very few role matches in that time.
Yep.
Does Hulk Hogan have they just shown some British wrestling on like ESPN one day or something when Hogan's been in hotel room in the early 80s and thought, right, that Shirley Crabtree guy seems to have it sewn up. Or maybe Vince McMahon was watching it and thought, right, we don't have any big fat guys that the Americans are going to get behind, because Americans can't get behind big fat guys in the way that British people in the 1970s and 1980s could get behind big fat guys like Big Daddy, right? You know, Granny's favourite. So let's get Hogan, 6'8", to be
It's true in a way, because Giant Haystacks did go to WCW for a bit and didn't do very well. So you could say, you're right, they couldn't get on board with big fat guys. I can only really think of a couple. Well, there's a few. King Kong Bundy. Earthquake, obviously, the lovely John Tenta.
But he was always a heel though, wasn't he?
He was, but that's the funny thing about him. Like, he hated being a heel because he was such a lovely guy. Like, apparently, Bret Hart said, like, he's the nicest man he's ever met in his life. And he hated being a heel. And when he turned face, it was great because all the kids would come running up to him and sit on his lap and stuff. Not that way. He was a good soul. Was John Tenta. The only other one I can think of really probably is Vader.
Yeah.
He was a
Tugboat.
big lad. Tugboat, of course.
Later became Typhoon, but one half of the natural disasters with the earthquake.
Yeah. What I would say is, you might have a valid point there. However, I don't believe Hulk Hogan's ever killed a man, whereas Big Daddy has.
Not that we've heard of.
Oh no, Big Daddy did kill a man. You mean Hulk Hogan? Yeah, possibly not. Yeah, possibly not. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, you might be onto something there. Kind of just, he took it to another level, if you excuse the Dane Powers pun there. He did. He kind of elevated Big Daddy's thing. He didn't wear the top hat or the cane, and he didn't have the daddy splash, but he did have the leg drop. And I don't believe Hulk Hogan he never promoted a sauce, did he? Like Daddy did, but it kind of fitted into his name. Yeah. But he did have what was this mixer? It was like the Thunder Shaker or something. He promoted.
Well, a soft drink to put booze into.
It was like a little mini blender. It was like a NutriBullet before its time.
Oh, right, okay.
If that makes sense. It was called the Thunder Shaker. I remember seeing it once at a toy fair and thinking, I wonder if I should buy that, but what the fuck am I going to do with it? Of course, famously, I mean, if you believe what Hogan says, because he does speak a lot of bullshit, which you can get away with, I suppose. But the famous story is that he got offered, it should have been the Hulk Hogan lean, mean grilling machine, but he turned it down. and then George Foreman got offered it, and well, the rest is history.
Well, I always thought that Foreman had some kind of hand in the sort of creation of that the machine, whether he commissioned it or something, or came up with the idea and got some guys to make it for him or something like that.
He was just the face of it, Craig. He was just the face of it. Yeah, but you could have a good point there. Maybe Maybe. I mean, I don't know if any other... I mean, you could say giant haystacks. Big guy wore like a sack and stuff, like Mankind, effectively.
Well,
giant haystacks.
The giant haystacks not wear a top somewhat reminiscent of Han McSolo's wedding garb.
He did actually, yeah. It was. He was dressed like a villager from fucking olden times.
Yeah.
You can imagine him in like Henry VIII's time. Haystacks would be involved in the... I was going to say the spit roast, but that is the correct term, isn't it? For like a pig on a thing. Yeah, spit roast. Sorry, I watched too much porn. Yeah. Not in the last few weeks, anyway. Yeah, I could imagine haystacks. Like, he wouldn't look out of place in that. Han McSolo. It's a second mention in 2 episodes.
It's just never not going to make me laugh, that, ever.
That's a wonderful theory, that, Greg. I agree with that. Did anyone rip off Pat Roach, do you think?
They wouldn't dare rip off Pat Roach.
Never.
He'd be in the first transatlantic flight with a fucking a set of jump leads in his luggage.
a tire iron.
Yeah. Demanding his royalty get paid in like $20 notes.
In his leotard with one nut hanging out. Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, that's a lovely little segue into the wrestling, the grappling there, Greg. I think you've got a point there. I can go with that. I'll go with that. Yeah. Okay. Right. Shall we have a look at what's been happening in Scotland over the last few weeks?
I think we should. Cue the jingle.
Hello. This is the Outer Hebrides Broadcasting Corporation, and here is what's been going on in the news.
Okay, Greg, what have you seen in the news in the last couple of weeks that has caught your eye and you'd like to share with me and our lovely listeners?
Well, from an all-American hero to a Scottish-Italian hero, this story comes from...
It's not Gianni Capaldi, is it?
No, I've got a lot of thoughts on him, by the way. This story comes from the Daily Record on October the 30th of this year. The headline reads, Scots cafe owner chases down sweet treat thieves after £40 chocolate eclair robbery.
£40?
£40. Right, I'm going to absolutely destroy this guy's name. His first name is Can, which is obviously very easy. His second name, I'm going to spell it. Misirlioglu. Italian name. I'm just going to call him Can. So he was working around the back of his eclairs eatery on Easter Road in Edinburgh when he heard the bell on the door go and he saw a man attempt to steal a £40 tray of chocolate eclairs. The 39-year-old began to pursue when another guy warned their accused thieving accomplice, and the two of them fled the business. But having been targeted by antisocial behaviour from the shop's inception some years ago, Can was not about to let the suspected perpetrators get away. He chased them down and grabbed one by the collar, but the eclairs tumbled to the ground. The two suspected burglars appeared astonished to be apprehended, but then attempted to swipe the eclairs off the ground. Can then
5-second rule.
Yeah. Can then smash the baked delicacies with his foot before providing a harsh warning to the criminal duo. He said, I was in the back of my shop and I heard the door beeper sound. So I looked at the camera and I saw a man trying to grab a tray of eclairs. I rushed out, but his friend spotted me and warned him. I managed to grab the man by the collar of his jacket, but then he dropped the tray. I was so angry, I told them if I ever catch them doing it again, the result will be a lot worse. One of the guys then tried to pick the eclairs up off the floor, but I stomped on them as I did not want their behaviour to be rewarded. They were shocked I caught them. I can understand why people were afraid to confront these guys because they could have a knife and get stabbed or beaten up. But back in my culture in Turkey, the neighbourhood would deal with these people and they would not do it again. I am not afraid of them. I love my business and I would put myself in harm's way to protect it. In the video, Can be seen sprinting toward the door as the two men depart. His dog, Figo, not Fido, Figo, or it could be Figo, maybe he likes Ghostbusters too, attempts
Louis Vigo would be the first go-to. It was Vigo.
Oh, yeah, it was Vigo. Sorry, fucked it. In the video, Can be seen sprinting toward the door as the two men depart. His dog Figo attempts to follow, but he's on the lead at the time, so he can't. The shop owner also stated that the neighbourhood has been plagued by problems by the same group of persons who have repeatedly been reported to the police. In recent months, he claims that the local Scott Mid, a neighbouring cafe and a pharmacy have all been victims of shoplifting and antisocial behaviour. This is not the first time it has happened, Can said. It's getting out of control in the area. I had a couple of guys come in and they tried to grab my tablet, some shortbread. Fucking hell. On another occasion, I had to throw a man out and he began to throw rocks and stones at me, smashing my lemonade holder. I've also had to spend hundreds of pounds to fix my shop window after we were broken into. The group come in and they try to take whatever they can get their hands on. I've reported these people to the police several times, but it doesn't seem like anything is being done. I think businesses do feel a bit abandoned. The whole city seems to have a problem right now and I'm fed up with the vandalism, shoplifting and robberies. I've spoken to my MSP, that's the Member of Scottish Parliament for people who don't live in the UK, and he has said that he would try and get some patrols, but sadly the police need to mark this area as a priority. So we have to keep complaining for them to take us seriously. So that's Can. I thought he was going to be Italian with that second name, but it seems like he's Turkish. Good for him, standing up for his business.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him. It took a bit of a dark turn there towards the end, Greg. It sounds like he's been the victim of abuse.
It sounds like I didn't read the whole article before I picked it for the Culture Swally.
My heart goes out to him. It was a light-hearted story about someone stealing eclairs, but it does sound like that he is a victim of racist abuse, which obviously we don't stand for on the Culture Swally.
No.
Let's focus on the start of the article, because that's the funnier part. I'm glad you introduced the dog, because I had a thought of these men stealing the eclairs. It was kind of like someone from the Beano, where you see Nasher with like a string of sausages running the butchers. Yeah. And of all the things to steal, a tray of eclairs, what were they going to do? Try and sell them on the streets, like around Easter Road? Like, surely it's Brune that people around there want. It's not Brune treats.
Well, you and I were staying not far from Easter Road in the summer, weren't we, when we were in Edinburgh for the gig? We didn't see you. We were in the Scott Mid and Leith Walk. We didn't see any anti-social behaviour. We saw some pretty questionable looking pies in the hot display, but that was all. And
we were not offered heroin once, I'm pleased to say.
Not once.
Obviously, Edinburgh's cleaned up its act. That's a shame that it sounds, and his tablet and shortbread was half-inched as well.
Targeted. Well, he said this would try to steal it. Tried to steal it, but I just like he said was like back in Turkey, the neighbourhood would deal with these types of people, and believe me, they would do it again. You're just like, oh my God, what does like street justice look like in Turkey? Brutal.
What was the quote he said? Like he warned them if they tried it again, they would pay the price.
Yeah, it would be a much worse price or something like that. I think he said.
God. Yeah. I wonder what he would do. I'm quite scared. I'm kind of hoping they try it again because I want to know what justice he's going to dish out.
Have you ever seen the Viggo Mortensen film? Actually, it also stars one of the actors from our film today, Eastern Promise.
No, I don't believe I have. No.
It's what's his name? It's David Cronenberg film, but it's not like a horror film. It's like a kind of set in London, and it's a sort of Russian kind of Eastern European expat gangster film. But whenever I so I used to sometimes get my hair cut in a Turkish barber's, and when I lived in Scotland, and they always have like on display like all their open razors and all these like really intimidating looking haircutting implements. And there's a scene in Eastern Promise when someone gets assassinated in a barber shop, and basically this assassin picks up one of the open razors and because it's David Cronenberg, it's not like a clean sort of across the throat and the guy's bleeding to death. It's a proper like sawing with this open razor. It's like really graphic and grim. But every time I go to get my hair cut when I'm in the UK, one of these Turkish barbers, like that scene always just comes into my mind.
It's like a Turkish Barney Thompson.
Yeah, exactly. Only a lot more brutal and intentional. So I guess maybe that's the sort of level of justice that these would-be confectionery thieves can expect if Can gets hold of them again, if they try it again.
Don't mess with a man's eclairs, Greg.
Certainly not. Anyway, that's my first story this week. What are you starting us with?
Funnily enough, I have another story about justice being dealt out. I'm just going to read the headline to this, Greg. A Scots Hollywood star has told how he ended up being arrested on a train for punching a drunk passenger. I'm going to give you 3 guesses. Who is this Hollywood Scottish star who was arrested on a train for punching a drunk passenger?
A famous Scottish actor.
Scottish Hollywood star.
Yes, I'm kind of torn between 2. I think I'm going to go with McAvoy. I think McAvoy would throw a punch.
It's not McAvoy.
Is it Butler?
It's not Butler.
Who else is there? Is it Jack Loudon? Can't imagine him punching anybody.
You're out of guesses.
Yeah, I'm out of guesses.
Acting legend James Cosmo revealed how he... revealed how he ended up on the wrong side of the law on a cross-border rail journey. The 76-year-old star ended up in this situation while on a train going from London to Glasgow. The Game of Thrones star was just 25 at the time of the incident, around the time that he got a break as leading regulator Fuller on the hit BBC series Warship. This could be the greatest 2 lines I've ever read on this podcast, Greg. He told how a drunk passenger on board the train started to hassle 2 women. When the drunken lout went too far with the female passengers, a young Cosmo rose up and belted him. I could just see James doing that.
Yeah.
The British Transport Police were waiting for the train at Carlisle, but when the officers boarded, they ended up arresting the actor. He was hauled off the train and told he was being arrested for assault. Cosmo, who stars in BBC thriller Night Sleeper, set on the same route, told the paper, "It's ironic, but when I was a young pup, I got arrested on the London to Glasgow train and then de-arrested. A guy who got on the train was very drunk and started annoying these 2 girls who were sitting opposite me. When it began to get really out of control, I clocked the bloke." We were just pulling into Carlisle and the British Transport Police came on board and took me off the train. They didn't cuff me. They wouldn't fucking dare to.
Yeah, no.
But they told me that they were going to arrest me for assault. Cosmo told how the officers ended up letting him go after the cop spoke to people on board the train and realised what had happened. The Dumbarton-born actor was then released and officers went on to arrest the drunken passenger. The actor added, "The train was held in the station and the cops got to talk to the passengers. Once they had spoken to the 2 girls, they realised what had happened and arrested the drunk instead." The train's guard even rewarded him by moving him to first class for the rest of his trip back north.
Wow.
Cosmo played retired train driver Fraser Warren on the BBC drama set on a Glasgow to London train, which is hijacked by a cyber attack. The series has had fans on the edge of their seats as the team of passengers desperately tried to stop the hijacked train. Scottish fans were even treated as they spotted a still game Legends return to the screen in the hit series. I'll just spoil it, it's Bobby the Barman.
Otherwise known as Gavin Mitchell.
It's Gavin Mitchell, yeah. I have seen Night Sleeper. It's very good. It's absolute nonsense, but it is enjoyable.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cosmo. I just, that line just sealed it for me. When the drunken lout went too far with the female passengers, a young Cosmo rose and belted him.
I bet he could mix it when he was younger, Cosmo, if he had to.
Could fucking mix it now, Greg. He's 76 and I wouldn't want to mess with Cosmo. Jesus.
I watched, like a couple of months ago, I watched an old film called The Battle of Britain, which is about the Battle of Britain in the Second World War. And it's got a great cast, and it's got a very, very, very young Cosmo and quite a small part. In fact, I couldn't find him in it. Like I couldn't remember. Obviously, he's in the credits, and his character has a name. He plays like a young Scots RAF pilot. But I couldn't. I'd have to go back and watch it again. But it's got a great cast. Like Michael Caine's in it, Ian McShane, obviously Cosmo. Great cast. It's quite a good film actually. But yeah, I watched it one Saturday morning a few months ago when I was feeling a bit sorry for myself, having drank a few too many beers the night before.
You've intervened in a situation, haven't you?
Yes.
I seem to recall years ago. Do you not want to tell the story?
Have I not told the story before? Are we talking about Amadeus?
No, a different story. I seem to remember you intervening. There was a lady and her partner, and he was being a bit aggressive, and you intervened in the situation.
Oh, you mean, yes. You mean our mutual friend's ex-boyfriend?
Not our mutual friend, Techno Jock.
Girlfriend. Yes,
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I did. Yeah. That was my reward for being a good guy that night was they let us into Oscars after they stopped letting people in.
What's the Amadeus story?
Oh, so
You don't have to tell it if you don't want to. It seems like you don't want to.
well, it's a bit embarrassing, but like, do you remember in Amadeus there was the kind of central bar on the ground floor, and there was like toilets. I think the gents was on one side of the bar and the ladies was on the other. It wasn't far from the snack bar that we were talking about on the messages the other day.
I think, was that the casino bar?
Yes, that was it. Okay, I think the back of the bar was like sort of half a roulette wheel. It was kind of made to look a bit like... Yeah. So I was in there one night, relieving myself, and I had noticed...
Having a pish, not a wank.
No, I wasn't having a wank. I noticed earlier in the night that there was a few guys in wheelchairs. Now, that's something that, for whatever reason, just didn't see it very often, but Amadeus was always kind of being marketed as a club for everybody, progressive club, biggest club in the UK, blah, blah, blah. And I remember thinking, oh, that's quite... Well, I know you don't remember thinking anything about it, but just like kind of thinking, And when I was in the toilet, one of the guys in the wheelchair was trying to get into the toilet, get into the door, and there was a guy, he was moving, but he was moving slowly, and there was a guy behind him who was hammered, who was being... shall we say, anti-disableist to this guy in the wheelchair. And the guy in the wheelchair was absolutely just telling the guy to fuck off, right? And the other thing is about the guy in the wheelchair, like a lot of these guys do that are in wheelchairs for a long time, he had fucking arms like my thighs, you know what I mean? Because they're wheeling themselves around. In fact, it might even have been, it might have been like a disabled sports team in hindsight or something like that. Maybe that's why they were there. So anyway, the guy had a glass in his hand, and I said to the guy, mate, you're being a prick, or something like that. And I thought the guy was going to hit me with the glass. So I hit him first, and he probably wasn't going to hit me with the glass, but he was being a bit aggressive, and I hit him first. And I think the surprise of being hit on a wet floor, or maybe I just hit him really fucking hard, but I don't think so. He fell and dropped the glass. And his elbow kind of skated into some of the broken, and he cut his elbow. Oh. Now, luckily for me, a girl that I went to school with called Patricia Schoolin, her older brother, Brian Schoolin, was a doorman at Amadeus. And I don't know if somebody had alerted security when they heard this guy giving the poor wheelchair guy a hard time or whatever. But Brian seemed to appear immediately, and he asked me what happened, and I told him. And much like Cosmo's victim on the London to Glasgow, the guy with the cut elbow got chucked out, and I was allowed to remain in the club. So that was it.
That's a lovely story, Greg. You've done a wonderful thing there.
Yeah.
A wonderful thing.
Yeah. I mean, I left the club shortly afterwards because I felt fucking sick. Because I'd never really done anything like that before in my life. Especially though, I was only like 19 or something, and this was obviously like an adult arena, like the club. I never hit anybody in real life before, only at school. So, yeah.
No, it's a lovely tale. Well done. You've gone up in my estimation.
I can always be relied upon to be a hero when I'm full of fucking cheap lager, you know.
Well, thankfully, Cosmo was not pished, although he probably was. But according to the story, he wasn't. But he saved these two ladies from hassle, and that is why James Cosmo is the patron saint of the Culture Swally.
Absolutely.
Officially.
Yeah.
Officially. So, yeah.
Sanctified himself, really, by recording that cameo for my birthday.
He did, he did. I am going to include that in the Best of the News special. But I would recommend Night Sleeper. We might do it at some point.
I'm sure.
But yeah, it's Gavin Mitchell, Trevor from EastEnders is in it.
He's a good actor. He's also in the Batman. He's the mayor in the Batman.
Yeah, he is. No, he's brilliant in it. Actually, he plays a pisshead, which
probably not a stretch for him, but A job's a job, you know. Gig's a gig.
It's come a long way from getting smacked with an iron by Little Mo on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that is the wonderful tale of James Cosmo, the hero that we all need.
Exactly.
What else have you seen this week, Greg?
Well, this one made me laugh. This came out. This one's from the day that. No, this one's from the day the record on Halloween. A couple of days ago, 31st. The headline reads, "Man's Google Maps Street View prank on Scots Island caught on camera." So, honestly, it's so funny. A geologist on a field trip to a Scottish island spotted the Google Street View car and pretended to attack his colleague with a hammer.
Oh, Jesus.
Gideon Footerman says he was on the north of the Isle of Lewis in Scotland when the pair played the prank. They spotted the mapping camera and decided to create a masterpiece. The camera caught him pretending to hit his friend with a geological hammer. Futterman wrote, "Over the summer, I went to the very north of the Isle of Lewis on a field trip to map the geology there with a close friend of mine. The Google Street View car went past. We had a geological hammer. The following masterpiece, which is now on Google Street View," was the result. So there's a picture. They're on, I'll describe it. Maybe we'll post it. We won't post it. I always say that and I always forget. But they're on like a fairly atypical, very narrow sort of farm road. And Mr. Footerman is kind of wielding but a very small hammer as his friend kind of cowers in pretend fear. He said, "I know I post mostly serious stuff here." It must be taken off his social media, but this was simply too funny not to share. He is listed as a University of Oxford graduate researching SRM, not SNM, and GCR. He's interested in animal ethics, slowing down the progress of AI, and complex X risk, whatever the fuck that is. There is a second picture on Google Maps of the two of them with their thumbs up, just showing that it was just a joke. One ex-user wrote, "Ha! Found you reprobates. Love how it goes past you the first time, giving you time to think of your plot, and then when it returns, genius." Another wrote, "Excellent job." So just a little short and sweet one there. I mean, I've heard some stuff about Google. I mean, I quite like Google Street View, especially if I'm going somewhere that I've not been before, and I can have a little look at the hotel and what's around it and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Right where I'm staying. But I have heard of like people being caught having sex outside, and it just gets left in there and stuff like that. But do you ever use Google Street View for anything?
I do occasionally. Yeah, I'll have a little wander around. I think it's same as you. You'll kind of maybe look at where you're going, or for novelty, if you're bored one day, you'll have a look at your old street and your old house and see things. There are some lovely stories. I have read of stories in the paper of like people whose like father has passed away and they are on Google Street View, like tending to their garden, and people are like, I look at this every day because it's just, you know, how I'd like to remember him. Mm-hmm. Yes, there was one was it in Aberdeen? Like a couple of years ago, and it was someone wanking in a car.
Of course it was in Aberdeen.
I'm sure it was in Aberdeen, because it definitely popped up in a lot of groups that I was part of. I'm sure it was someone having a wank in a car. And I guess Google didn't like reshoot the street. They just blurred out the guy in the car. So it's still there, but he's blurred. So it's like he's wanking really fast. So he's like the Flash having a wank.
Caught masturbating in Aberdeen. Oh dear.
I mean, that's got to be bad because I think it went national. Like that's bad. Because not only will people recognise you before you've been blurred out, but then people will recognise your car. So it's but yeah, I have often used Google Street View. You do hear of people playing pranks like this occasionally, and yeah, fair play to them. I think it's good. It's light-hearted fun. So he was just pretending to attack his pal with a toffee hammer.
Essentially, yeah, very very small hammer. But yeah, you know, I think it's important to have a bit of levity on big platforms like Google Maps, especially at the moment when the world seems to be in a hell of a state. Yeah, just made me smile, that one. But just a little short and sweet one for my second story this week. What's your next one?
I'm not sure how I'm going to get through this story, Greg, but I will try my best. As soon as I saw this headline, I was like, this is perfect. I'm loving that. This is wonderful. We never share news stories before we record, but I had to take a screen grab of the headline, and I think my words to you were, fuck off, I'm having this one. So, this is from the Daily Record this week, and the headline reads, Worker boasted he ejaculated in boss's beard balm after row.
Fuck's sake.
A COVID vaccination worker jizzed into a bottle of his boss's beard balm following an argument, a court heard. Jordan Fitzpatrick made the mistake of boasting about what he had done to another manager a number of days later. The 25-year-old, I mean, you're going to tell people, aren't you, if you've done that? The 25-year-old told his fellow worker that the complainer, who is not being identified, had a bottle of beard oil on his table. He then confessed, I jizzed in it. I can't get through this. When the oily gel was inspected, it appeared cloudy with sediment at the bottom, and police were informed. Livingston Sheriff Court was told. The contents of the bottle were sent for forensic analysis and found to include semen containing DNA which matched that of the 25-year-old joker. Fitzpatrick of West Lothian originally claimed he was innocent of any crime, but changed his plea to guilty on Wednesday, the day he was due to stand trial. He admitted committing a breach of the peace by conducting himself in a disorderly manner, taking possession of a bottle of beer gel, and by means unknown, depositing his semen in the bottle. He accepted that his intention was that his former manager would use the contaminated beer gel. He also admitted making other colleagues at the NHS vaccination centre in Bathgate aware of his actions between July the 1st and July the 5th, 2021. So he's been telling everyone that he's done it. And I mean, fair play, I would as well. Kevin Duggan, defending, said he would reserve his plea in mitigation until Fitzpatrick returns to court for sentencing. Sheriff James McDonald called for a criminal justice social work report and an assessment of Fitzpatrick's suitability for a restriction of liberty order. He adjourned the case until December the 4th.
For fuck's sake, I mean, it seems like quite a hectic response. It's obviously just been a nasty sort of prank to play because they've had an argument. Surely it didn't have to go to court.
Well, would you not be upset if somebody jizzed in your beard balm?
Well, of course I'd be upset, but I don't think I don't think I'd be pushing for prosecution. Do you know what I mean? It seems excessive.
You ever jizzed in anyone's beard balm, Greg?
No, I've never ejaculated into anything that that nobody wanted me to ejaculate into. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I can't say I've done the same. I haven't ejaculated into anything that I wouldn't have. When I lived in Norwich, do you remember my housemates in Norwich?
I remember one in particular being a bit of a fud.
That'll be John. He was an absolute fucking cockwomble. He used to call me a porridge. He wasn't a very nice man. He lived, he was from Coventry, worked in the Peugeot factory, and he was a bit of a dick. The other guy I lived with, Corky, he was okay. He was in the RAF. He was a bit odd as well, though. Like, I felt a bit of an odd man out living in that house. I remember the one memory I have of Corky is that he had this girl that he was friends with that he was desperately trying to get with, but she wasn't interested and she was just stringing him along, basically. And I can't remember why, but one day I went into his room. I must have been looking for something. I don't know what. I was maybe just wanting to go and have a rummage around, see if he had any spare change or something. And he had this notepad.
Read his diary.
Well, funnily enough, he had this notepad lying next to his bed and he'd been writing poetry. And I will never forget this until the day I die. I memorised this poem, and me and my mate Ian had a fucking good laugh about it lots of times. Like when we'd be drunk, we would start belting it out in a nightclub. It went, "The girl I love who doesn't love me, she kisses strangers but won't kiss me." And I felt a bit sorry for him after that, but it was a good poem. Anyway, the day I left, I was going back to Aberdeen, and I knew that John was always up first, and he would boil the kettle and he would make a big flask of tea to take to his work with him. And he'd have a cup of tea in the morning as well before he left. So I was driving back to Aberdeen from Norwich. So I got up at like about 4 a.m. because I was like, I want to make a good head start because obviously you know how long the journey takes in terms of things.
All too well.
So I made sure I had a cup of coffee and I'd packed my car the night before, and then I was just getting ready to leave and had a shower and stuff. So I emptied the kettle and then I filled it to the brim with my piss and put it back. That was my parting gesture. Now, I don't know, if you boil it, does that sterilise it, or...
Still going to taste like piss, I would imagine.
Hope you enjoy your tea that day, John.
Just hot piss instead of like body temperature.
I think you put milk in it as well. It must have congealed.
I've never, ever done that to anybody.
It's the only time I've ever done it, and it was because he deserved it. Greg, you used to call me a porridge.
Yeah, that's not on. I think maybe you should have just battered him.
He was a big cunt though.
Was he the one who got upset when we were staying there because I can only assume it was our mutual friend after his Red Bull bowel problem that he had perhaps left the bowl of the toilet somewhat marked, and he came down and had a fucking moan about it at us, remember? Or he had a moan at you about it, I think.
That was him. Yeah, that was him. Yeah, he was a dick. So I do not regret what I did, Greg. I do not regret pissing in his kettle. If he'd had a beard, I'd have jizzed in his beer bag.
Fair enough.
I'm just saying, I would have.
Ah, dear. Well, that went down a bit of a dark path as well. I think what we need to do to lighten the mood is to talk about a film where a serial killer cuts people up into bits. But before that...
Let's have a little word from our sponsors. And our sponsor is Doric Skateboards, a skateboard brand created by Gary Kemp, whose main focus is to explore the people and culture of Aberdeen and the northeast of Scotland, creating designs to reflect life in that wonderful area that I hail from. Doric Skateboards screen print their own decks in their new studio by Gary's fair hand, and they have produced some amazing designs over the years, including an Annie Lennox inspired board, a Robert the Bruce deck, and a Plenty of Pop deck inspired by the old Bonaccord trucks that used to drive around Aberdeen delivering fizzy juice. Doric Skateboards also replicate these amazing designs onto their clothing on 100% organic cotton tees, hoodies and sweatshirts, and they also produce beanies, caps, mugs, pin badges and stickers. Gary regularly collaborates with local artists to ensure he brings the latest designs to the market, but always with a Doric twist, including the latest butt redesign based on the famous Aberdeen Breakfast of Champions and the beautiful Northfield Tower design, a love letter to the Eiffel Tower of Aberdeen. So check Doric Skateboards out for yourself at doricskateboards.com and follow them on Instagram at Doric Skateboards to see the amazing designs on offer. And we are delighted to be able to offer you 15% off as listeners to this podcast. All you need to do is head to doricskateboards.com, have a look at all the amazing decks, stickers, badges, hoodies and tees on offer, and enter the promo code SWALLY. That's SWALLY, same with its name as this podcast, all in block capitals, and get your 15% off. That's doricskateboards.com, link in the description of this episode.
So, last episode we had a listener request from Olivia, we think in America, for the There the White Worm. That means that it should have been your pick for the last episode, but now obviously it would be the Olivia pick, so that means it's your pick for this episode. So what are we going to be talking about this week?
Well, this week, Greg, we are talking about the 2024 crime drama film Damaged, directed by Terry McDonough and starring Samuel L. Jackson. Vincent Cassel, I would say it's pronounced, Vincent Cassel, and Gianni Capaldi. It follows Chicago-based detective Dan Lawson, who investigates a series of serial killings in Scotland alongside Glen Boyd and his ex-partner, Walter Bravo. As the case continues, Lawson discovers a pattern similar to another killing spree he handled in Chicago 5 years prior. Now, I remember the trailer for this coming out and sending it to you and being like, holy shit, Samuel L. Jackson's in a film set in Edinburgh. And you being like, oh, we need to cover this. Yeah. And obviously it was earlier this year it came out. We finally got round to it. You had mentioned that you hadn't seen it yet on the last episode. It was my first viewing as well. What did you think of Damaged, Greg?
I thought the story and the premise was good. I will admit that there is a twist at the end of the film. And so I will just quickly say, if you've not watched Damaged yet and you want to enjoy it, then I would stop listening to us wanking on about it. Go and watch the film and then come back to us. There's a twist at the end which I thought elevated the film. Because I did not, I thought I had it sussed out. Because there's a lot of what critics would call tropes in this film. It's not, the story's not particularly original, really. But the twist at the end is quite effective. And I obviously really like Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, who does not like Samuel L. Jackson? You know what I mean? He's just a fucking, he always brings a little something to everything that he's in, even stuff that's not really very good. It's always good to watch him in it. And I've always really liked Vincent Cassel ever since I saw the French film La Haine. He's a great actor, intense actor. And then you've also got some other great Scottish stars in this. John Hannah's there. Like a fairly wasted Brian McCardie, I would say.
Yeah.
Kate Dickie is in it as well. And then you got Gianni Capaldi, who I will admit I had never fucking heard of before I watched this film. And I thought to myself, when I looked him up before I watched the film, I thought, well, he's got some connection to Peter Capaldi. He's bound to be charming, charismatic, good actor, and he's none of those things. Really sad to say. So yeah, I mean, like, what I liked the most about this film is that it's only an hour and a half long, and the twist at the end was good, I thought. But what did you think of it?
When I first watched the trailer, I was like, this looks quite good. This looks all right. And then I watched it. What I would say is this has, you're right, it does hit a lot of touch points and tropes, and this does have the makings of like a classic serial killer thriller. Like, there's red herrings, there's a bit of action, there's car chases, there's foot chases, there's somber moments between characters. It's just a pish rip-off of Seven. Like, it's 2.5 basically. And you know something, like, the characters are very basic. Like, it's just a serial killer film by numbers. And the numbers don't add up to me. But I would describe this as pish, but quite enjoyable pish. Like, I quite enjoyed watching it. You know something? And I agree with you. The twist at the ending elevates this film. I did not see that twist coming.
No.
And we'll hold off on discussing the twist until a little bit later, just to make sure people have prepared and have watched it. But I did not. I was the same as you. I thought I'd worked it out. Yeah. And when that came, I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
But then after that, it goes massively downhill, especially the very last scene, which, I can't wait to discuss that with you. It's Gianni Capaldi. I had never really heard of him. Now, I wonder, because he co-wrote this film, so it must be like a bit of a vanity project as such. I had to look him up as well, because I'm like, I must have seen something he's in. The only thing I've seen that he has been in, he plays phone shop assistant in an episode of Still Game.
Yes,
from 2019.
I read that,
which I think was with Martin Compston, wasn't it?
Yes,
the other phone shop assistant.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
that's the only thing I've seen that he's been in. And looking at his IMDb, I don't think I want to see anything else that he's been in.
It's it's sort of Hollywood C-list, right?
I think that's being quite generous, Greg. C-list's being very generous.
I bet it goes
not
for
the best.
I'll bet it goes for a lot of the same roles as Frank Grillo.
Not the best. You can tell he was a co-writer on this. You can tell a lot of the lines that he's written.
Yeah.
That he's poured his heart and soul. You know, again, fair play. We said this, I think, on the last episode. Like, fair play to him. He's written this film. He starred in it. It's more than we've ever done. However, he's really not great. He gets his moments in when he's chasing Brian McCardie. He gets to slide over the bonnet of a car like he's in the fucking Sweeney.
Yeah, but I think I could slide over the bonnet of a car better. What's the fucking sack of potatoes going over that car? Sorry.
His range isn't the best in terms of acting, but he tries. He tries. That's all we can say, Greg. He tries.
My problem with him is, the character of Glen Boyd is supposed to be the hero. Along with Samuel L. Jackson. Initially, at least. We're supposed to like him, right? We're supposed to feel sorry for him because they've, him and his wife, played by the lovely Laura Haddock, have
Star-Lord's mum.
Star-Lord's mum, yep. Well off the In-Betweeners girlfriend in the In-Betweeners film. They've lost a child. It's revealed that because of the damage to the relationship, Mary, his wife, played by Laura Haddock, has had like a brief affair, they're attempting to reconcile the relationship again, etc. So we should be rooting for this guy. You know what I mean? And then there's the big sort of kind of Act 2 shock when Mary's murdered by the serial killer, because it's all the same stuff that the serial killer's done to the victim. So we feel sorry for him, but I don't know what it is. There's something really dislikable about him. And how he reacts to his wife being murdered. It's not very believable. You know what I mean? No. He's in the pub doing drams with Samuel L. Jackson and going to find this guy. I mean, if you discovered your wife, if I discovered my wife in the loft in bits, or just the arms, legs and head of my wife in bits in the loft, I think I'd probably be going away for a little while. Do you know what I mean? To fucking deal with that. And if it was in a film, there would need to be an appropriate emotional response from the husband, an appropriate devastated response. And he just doesn't do that. It's like he's like, right, we've given him even more of an incentive to find this guy. He was already high. That's another thing. He was already highly incentivized to find this guy, this killer, but just to give me more of an incentive for going to bump off his wife. And then, you know what I mean? It's just, I think maybe if this film had been made into like a 3 or 4 part sort of premium limited series, might have had more time it might actually have turned out okay. But I think because they've tried to put all this into like an hour and a half sort of film, it's just like, maybe he would have done better. Maybe he would have had more time to sort of establish his part, and we would have warmed to him more, but I just no sympathy for him whatsoever.
It's funny because I did write down, like, this does feel like a bit of a STV drama at times in the way it is. However, I think that's doing an STV drama a disservice because we've had crime, which is fucking shits all over this.
Yep.
And the BBC, I know you probably still haven't watched it, but the latest series of Rebus is absolutely phenomenal. And this is just like a drama school kind of production of Seven. It's not good. What I would say though about Gianni Capaldi's character Glenn, like, did you not feel a bit sorry for him? Like, you have to feel for him. Like, let's be fair, he's got a dead kid. He's got a dead wife. He's let his suspect get away. And he's a fucking Celtic fan. Like, does it get any worse?
That's what I mean. Like, I should be feeling sorry for him. You know what I mean? And if it was somebody like, maybe like Martin Compston playing that character, or James McAvoy, or something like a more polished, just better actor, really. You would feel sorry for those guys in that part, but like Capaldi's just not got the chops, I don't think, to do it.
I could see a younger Tony Curran in that role, making my heart bleed for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
When his wife's died, and when he's chasing, like, making me really evoke emotion. I could totally see that. You're right. I think it's the wrong actor that's in the role. Yeah, not the best terms of his performance. And there's so many awkward moments, like.
The funny thing is, sorry to cut you off there, just to finish that point. The funny thing is, on the poster for the film, he's not even fucking on it.
No, he's not. He's not.
He's the hero of the story, and it's Jackson and Cassell who are on the poster.
You're right. And they've got the lead billing, at the top. Yeah, they haven't even tried to... Look, I know you've written it. I know you are technically the main lead, but we're just going to leave you off the poster on this one.
Nobody's coming to the cinema to watch Gianni Capaldi. They might come for these two.
So he's a fucking DCI working for Police Scotland, and we don't know what Marie, his wife, does, because she never seems to be at work or mention work. And they've got this fucking massive fuck-off house in the middle of nowhere with this massive garden in Edinburgh. Yeah. And they still haven't fucking put the slide away. Like, fuck, the kid's been dead for like a year, but the slide's still there.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. I mean, that house is lovely. It's a belter. So this thing is in the sort of countryside, right? Really, really nice house. And there's no way that he's paying for that on a detective's salary. You know, Mary's job seems to be to sort of stay at home and look sadly out the window and, you know, make him his breakfast and be wanked over by John Hannah.
So we're saying not see John Hannah wanking in the garden. That is one of the most bizarre scenes I've ever seen. Because why? It's revealed he didn't kill her. Why is he wanking in her garden? Why? I had to replay that scene a few times because I'm like, is that John Hannah? Like, because it doesn't look like him in a way, but I'm like, okay, it is John Hannah.
Did you think he was using a wank double?
No, I didn't think it was Samuel L. Jackson, that's for sure. But I did wonder, like, is that John Hannah? Oh, he's having a wank. Why is he doing this? Another bizarre, there's so many bizarre points. So, okay, right. A murder is committed in Edinburgh. There's a Jewish woman leaves a synagogue and she is brutally murdered in her house. Again, let's just add in every trope we possibly can. We'll have a Jewish person get murdered. Right. What's one of the best films of all time? Psycho. Right. Let's have a shot of the rings coming off the shower curtain. That's going to be really good. Why is she in the bathroom for no reason? Like, if someone comes into your house, mind you, I guess the bathroom does have a lock on the door, so you could argue that's what she was trying to do. But the rings coming off the shower curtain, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is going to be bad. And so she gets murdered. Her body parts are displayed in a strange way. It's very similar to a case that happened in Chicago 5 years ago. So Samuel L. Jackson gets involved. He comes over to Scotland and they are going to try and solve this murder. So they're at the crime scene. And apparently one of the neighbours is a person of interest. So Capaldi goes over to his house. Why's he got a pair of fucking boots lying on the top of the bin?
We need a red herring.
Yeah, but it doesn't make any fucking sense. And he says to him, like, are these yours? No. Well, I found one of them outside her house. Well, no, you've just picked them up from the wheelie bin outside his house. He's just come out of his car and walked past the wheelie bin where the boots will be on top of. What? How has this got any relevance to the fucking plot? I don't get that at all. And I agree, what a waste of fucking the late great Brian McCardie in this role. He is epic in his 5 minutes or so of screen time. Chews up the scenery in terms of, but in a good way. It's genuinely, it's one of the best things. I'll just say it. Kate Dickie, Brian McCardie, Brian Pettifer, Elaine C. Smith. The 4 best things about this film, apart from the twist at the end. He is just a good, the venom with which he, have you got a warrant? No. Well, fuck off my property. Like, it's beautiful.
What? What do you want? You aware of what happened to your neighbour?
I told your guy the other day. I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything.
Is this yours?
Why?
Because it was found outside Abigail Myers' apartment. Now, do you mind if I take a look inside?
You got a warrant?
Not yet.
Well, fuck off, then. Away from my property, officer.
I just don't understand. I don't understand the bit with the boots. What was the bit with the boots?
That's the thing, right? If you think about all the red herrings in this that don't make any fucking sense. So the boots you've mentioned. Then we've got the weird sort of Roy Wood and Wizard anti-religion cult that are involved for some reason.
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
There's obviously there's the John Hannah character becomes a person of interest after McCardie's character's been eliminated, and he seems to spend all this time in a wee shed, but it turns out that he works for some security company. So we have the pictures of Walter Bravo, Samuel L. Jackson's ex-partner, and him, and a little red herring there. You know what I mean? There's even a suggestion at one point that Capaldi himself or Boyd might be a person of interest. And it's just like they're working too hard to try and direct the viewer away from sort of solving the mystery. And one of the things that people enjoy about watching a film like this that's a whodunit is trying to work out who done it. You know what I mean? But if you just bombard them with like nonsensical fucking red herrings, it just takes all the fun out of it. Do you know what I mean?
However, you can't complain. Both of us have said that we were astounded at the reveal of who the killer was.
Yeah, for sure. And
so all those red herrings were maybe justified in a way, because it did lead us down a path that we didn't think of, because I would never...
I mean, I wrote down, and I underlined it in case I would be asked to prove it. I think I wrote down, it's not long after Cassell's character is mentioned, before he's introduced, like Walter Bravo.
Yeah.
I wrote down, I think it was when they said that he retired from the police force after that murder of I wrote down, is it Samuel J's old partner? You know, and then later on in the film they start to tease you that it might be him, and there's pictures of him and John Hannah at a security expo convention, something like that. Yeah, I don't know. It just felt like, I mean, again, if it was like a TV show and they had maybe 4 hours or so to tell the story, you might not mind all these little sort of red herrings and them trying to send you up along a different path, you know?
Well, let's speak about Dan Lawson, Samuel L. Jackson's character, for a little bit. So he is a Chicago detective. He obviously has been involved in these murders. It's a serial killer that got away from him. Been inactive for 6 years. They're not sure if it's a copycat crime committed in Edinburgh, but it seems the same MO, so he comes to Edinburgh. Now, he has a drinking problem. He's an alcoholic because he's been scarred by this case. Do you not be better off buying a few half bottles and all those miniatures he's done? Like, surely be a bit better off. The one issue I massively had with this is that he's come to Scotland, very famously the home of golf. Samuel L. Jackson is famously a very big golfer. But his character says he can't wait to go to Ireland to play golf. Was that some sort of inside joke? Like, if we had a sequel to this, which, I mean, they fucking heavily try and tempt us with this at the end, would that not be like Glenn going to Chicago and saying, "Oh man, I cannot wait to go to Florida for a deep dish pizza"?
Yes. I can't wait to go. I know I'm in Chicago, but I can't wait to go to Fenway Park and watch the Red Sox play at Boston. You know? Well, I read, I don't know if this is true, but I read that that is a bit of an in-joke because like it is a purposeful in-joke because Samuel L. Jackson famously... Because if you remember, there's another... Like the only other time that Samuel L. Jackson's been tempted into appearing in a British-made film, famously back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when he was in the 51st State, and when he was at the very, very, very height of his popularity, you know, still very much riding that wave after Pulp Fiction, then Jackie Brown and all the other stuff that he did, like Die Hard with a Vengeance and everything. Yeah, and he's which unfortunately we can't cover because even though it stars Robert Carlyle, it's set in Liverpool and Carlyle does a Scouse accent.
Yeah, I had thought about it, but unfortunately we can't cover it because I was like, well, it's got Robert Carlyle and Samuel L. Jackson wears a kilt for the whole film. Like,
and hits
can
guys
we
with,
include that?
and hits a guy with a driver at one point as well.
Yeah.
I think.
As you'd mentioned earlier, I mean, who the fuck doesn't like Samuel L. Jackson? Like, he is incredible. He's 76 in this film, Greg. He's 76. Yeah. I know black don't crack, but fuck me.
He's the same age as Cosmo.
Late 40s or something. He is the same age as Cosmo. Oh, Jesus. What a night that would be. Sitting in the little hotel bar with Cosmo and Jackson and just having a few drams and, Cassell in the corner with his pint of red top. Like, oh, that'd be wonderful.
Pint of red top.
Let's just discount. We're not going to go too into this because he's not Scottish, but I feel we'll have to speak about him. Let's exclude Pulp Fiction because that's the obvious one.
Yep. Okay.
What's your favourite Samuel L. Jackson role? Ooh, because obviously Pulp Fiction's has to be, doesn't it?
I don't think he's ever surpassed Pulp Fiction just in terms of such a likeable character. I really like him in Die Hard with a Vengeance, I've got to say.
He's brilliant in that.
I know that it's not everyone's favourite Tarantino film, but I do like him in Jackie Brown. And I don't know if it's because he seems like a lot taller than the rest of the cast. And Robert De Niro famously is not a tall man. And then kind of Bridget Fonda, Pam Grier, Robert Foster, I guess, or not. But Samuel L. Jackson, he just sort of towers over them all and plays a great part. So that would be a favourite as well.
I think it's probably my second favourite Tarantino film.
Yeah,
I love Jackie Brown.
I love Jackie Brown. It's right up there for me, but I know that it's not a universally shared sentiment, I would say.
No.
What else? There's so many to pick from. I mean, I know you're not. I don't know how. It's funny that it seems to be all Tarantino films, but I like him in The Hateful Eight. I don't know if you like that film. But I think he's good in that.
I'm not a fan of it because of my prejudice of
black people.
The time it's yes. As you know, Greg, I'm a massive racist.
It's too old. Set too far in the past.
It's set too far. I do like it because I do like the cast, but I can't really get on board with it. It's the same as it's the same as Peaky Blinders. Peaky Blinders should be a show I absolutely love.
Yeah,
I can't get into it. I've tried 3 times. And I get up to the same episode every time, and I'm like, I can't watch any more of this pish. I don't know why, because I should love it, because I love the cast, I love the kind of premise, but it's the time that it's set. So yeah, Hateful Eight, not my favourite Tarantino film, I would say.
I like him in, which Spike Lee film is it where he plays? It's a small part. It's an old part of his. Is it Do the Right Thing? No. Or Jungle Fever, maybe. He plays like a drug addict who comes back to his mum and dad's all the time to borrow money, and he does a little dance to try and charm them, and then his dad ends up shooting him. I think it's Jungle Fever, no?
Do the Right Thing. He's
the DJ.
Is it Mr. Senor Love Daddy?
He's the DJ and Do the Right Thing.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, must be. Yeah, maybe
I think it's Jungle. It's the one with Wesley Snipes is in it as well. He plays the sort of professional guy who has the affair. It's great, all-star cast, really. I like him in that. And the last one I'll say that I like him in is when he plays the villain in the first Kingsman film. He plays the sort of Elon Musk type tech guy that's trying to take over the world. He's really funny in that, because it's obviously a bit of a action comedy. Well, very much so an action comedy, Kingsman. And he's living his best life in that. He's having a good time, I think.
It's an amazing thought of, I had seen quite a lot of films that he'd been in and hadn't almost realised it until after Pulp Fiction. Like, it's a strange thing. Because obviously, I mean, the famous one is, of course, Coming to America, where he plays the guy that holds up the McDowells. I think he's in Goodfellas. Yeah, he's in fucking Goodfellas.
He's the driver in Goodfellas. Yeah, and he's in True Romance as well, but I don't think you see him in True Romance, do you? It's just his voice or something. I can't remember.
He's in Jungle Fever. He's in like Patriot Games and stuff. A film I remember going to see at the cinema, Loaded Weapon 1.
Oh, yeah.
Menace to Society, Jurassic Park. Yeah. Like, he's in all these films, and then all of a sudden, Pulp Fiction, he blows up. And it's only then, and then I guess with Die Hard with a Vengeance too, that you're kind of like, okay.
Well, they
need to go back and see this.
They both sort of came out at the same time, didn't they? Those two films, maybe within like a year of each other. So
yeah,
it sort of solidified them really to like the A-list. The other really surprising appearance he makes, and I've not seen it for fucking years and years and years and years, but he's in Eddie Murphy Raw. In the little skit at the start when he plays like his uncle when the young, supposed to be like the little boy Eddie Murphy tells a dirty joke, and he's the uncle that's drinking a beer who just starts pissing himself laughing.
So they obviously investigate the neighbour played by Brian Pettifer, but they also involve another neighbour who is played by Elaine C. Smith. Yeah. This is basically just a posh Christine, isn't it?
Well, a wee bit. You're kind of waiting for it to drop the F-bomb, aren't you? I don't know if that's just...
Yeah, you're right, actually. You're right. I never thought about that, but you're right. Like, yeah.
I don't know if it's because she's just become... Oh, obviously, we've done the first series of Two Doors Down recently in the last couple of months. You know, obviously, like a whole generation, she is Mary Doll. Yeah. And, you know, and now, you know, she's so synonymous with the character of Christine and Two Doors. I mean, you can't imagine anybody else really playing that part. Even Barbara Rafferty, I can't, you know, I'm not saying she wouldn't be good as Christine, but it's just, I can't picture her doing it. Do you know what I mean? So like when I saw her on the screen here, you know, she might, you know, all she's missing is like a pair of tracky bottoms and like a Commonwealth Games t-shirt or something, you know, she could be Christine.
I think it's because she's got the breathy voice, like, and obviously that's her voice, so I'm not saying anything against that, but it's also the role, because effectively she's being a nosy neighbour. And telling on one of our neighbours and stuff. And that's why I guess the role just made me think of a posher version of Christine. Like, you're right, I was just expecting her for one moment to say something like, and that fucker over there.
Yeah.
I've been saying to Pat at the back that we need to sort out this guy. I was just completely expecting her to break into that, but obviously she doesn't. But it's, she's, again, wonderful in this role in the few minutes that she's in. But yeah, I did think she's just basically playing a posh Christine.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, it's quite a minor part really, which we don't see that much of her. But, you know, if you're Elaine C. Smith, get the chance to, even if you're not acting in a scene with them, but you get the chance to appear in a film with Samuel L. Jackson, you know, fucking sign me up.
I've been offered this role. Oh, Samuel L. Jackson's in it. Oh, both my scenes are with Gianni Capaldi.
Oh. How much does it pay?
Fuck's sake.
You mean my scenes are with that fucking Gianni Capaldi? No.
I guess the two Scottish actors. Let's run through the Scots first, and then we can finish speaking about the film. So briefly, Brian Pettifer involved in Roy Wizard's cult, as you said earlier. Oh, Roy Wizard,
Roy Wood the Wizard
cult. What a bizarre plot twist. So there's this cult in a Church of Scotland wearing giant haystacks, Han McSolo type uniforms, and they're all like, don't like outsiders, but they've got this church in the middle of Edinburgh. But Brian Pettifer's not even wearing one of the fucking uniforms.
No.
Like, what? And it doesn't go anywhere.
Hey, who are you? A journalist?
ECI Boyd. Can you tell me about this guy?
He could not adhere to our beliefs. Around 6 months ago, he was dismissed.
What are your beliefs?
That's none of your concern.
Well, I'm intrigued.
You're a pretender.
Excuse me?
You lot proclaim to remove sin from society. But how can you remove sin when you are riddled with corruption?
So we're led to believe that McGregor, John Hannah's character, was involved in this cult, but he was expelled for being too radical.
Too radical. And his makeup was too glittery.
It's just insane. So what they were, if they live if it's a cult, well, they say it's not a cult, it's like a commune or something, or a community. Yeah. If they're living there, and he only got expelled 6 months ago, but he's been working for this security firm for ages, because he's in a photo with Walker Bravo. which
Walker
is
Bravo.
just, I can't wait to come. We're going to come on to him soon. What a fucking name. Walker Bravo, Texas Ranger. When's he been working for the security firm? Why is he living in a shed in the woods? Why has he got this other shed in the woods on the back of his shed in the woods? Why is he wearing overalls? Why? just why? Why is he wanking in a garden? Why?
It's bizarre. It's like somebody's thought, right, we need to make, like, this guy is going to be like the ultimate red herring, and we need to make him as sinister as possible, right? So what do sinister characters do? They belong to cults. No, but what about if he got kicked out the cult for being too extreme in his views? What else do they do? They have workshops for some reason in secluded places. Yeah, that's great. What else do they do? They wank in public over ladies. They can't see them. Okay. Let's put it in.
Urinate against their own cars.
Yeah.
The bar he goes to, the Tower Bar, it's got a fucking stripper pole. Is it a strip club or is it a bar? Because it's not quite clear, but there's a stripper pole and there's a lady stripping on it. But it doesn't look like
Edinburgh's quite famous for that type of thing, though, isn't it? There's the famous pink triangle in Edinburgh, which is based like kind of behind the castle, which is basically just a load of pubs, like normal old men's pubs that have strip shows on. And I remember there being one that was kind of famous for doing like a Sunday roast for like £7. For like £7, and they would also have a stripper on as well, so you could go and have like your roast beef and Yorkshire pudding and watch some lassie taking her clothes off. The bar.
Then the girl behind the bar says, "I think it's time you paid your bill," and then he forcefully grabs her. Kind of as a word, and then he just leaves through the cellar, gets out to the car park, and has a piss on his back tyre.
I know, that's out of order, isn't it? You're pissing your own tyre. Or anyone's.
Surely you'd have a piss in the cellar before you'd left if you were needing.
I think time was of the essence, though, wasn't it? He was trying to escape without paying for his drinks. I don't think he wanted to linger in the cellar in case somebody came in and caught him kind of mid-piss and made him pay his bill.
Oh, so it's better to be waiting in the car park, like, because they're never going to find you there, are they? Like, oh, now you've left the premises, we can't take you back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's bizarre. An odd character. And so I thought, again, maybe John Hannes just thought, well, chance to be in a film with Samuel L. Jackson and Vincent Cassel.
He does get to have a wonderful chase scene.
Yeah.
Now,
he's not a natural runner, is it, John Hannes?
He's not at all. I can only imagine Gianni Capaldi's been, again, he's one of the co-writers in this. He's been sitting thinking, how do we get McGregor? Like, there has to be something that I can do. I'll do this. I'll stick on a film and maybe that'll give me inspiration. So he's watched Point Break and has just ripped off this scene. Doesn't even try. He includes fucking shooting into the air.
Yeah, I know.
With his gun. Now, I'm sorry, an Edinburgh cop, they literally say before they break in to apprehend McGregor, keep the armed police away, we can't have a gun on the streets. But for some reason, Capaldi is allowed to have a gun. I'm pretty sure Scottish police officers are not allowed to have concealed weapons. In that kind of, a concealed firearm, sorry. They're allowed to have batons and stuff, but they're not allowed to have a concealed firearm.
I think you have to be a firearm officer to carry a firearm, famously.
Which would involve wearing protection of some sort, like armour.
Yeah.
But he's just allowed to just pretend he's like a fucking NYPD cop running around with his gun, shooting it. But he shoots it into the air because he's watched Point Break the night before as he's chasing Hannah. And fair play, Hannah just stops.
Yeah, it does. Yes. He's been knackered, isn't he? He's fucking, as we said, he's not a natural runner. Yeah, there's a wee bit of hot fuzz in that, isn't there, really?
A wee bit of hot fuzz, you're right.
Kinda, yeah. Like the Simon Pegg.
You're very right.
Ed Wright film. Yeah, I don't know. It's very difficult to understand really because the thing is, like, famously, like, even like police procedurals like Taggart and Rebus and everything, like, they do like try to anchor themselves into reality as much as possible, because that's sort of what makes them enjoyable. especially for, you know, like a Scottish audience watching like any of the iterations of Rebus or Taggart or even Crime, the fact that they're filmed in the places that people will recognise, and they also tailor themselves to...
I'll take issue with that, Greg. We've covered the first episode of Rebus.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
The Aberdeen scenes were not filmed anywhere I recognise.
Well, that wasn't a good example, but you know, like generally speaking, but they do tether themselves into a degree of reality. A lot of the reason they're called police procedurals is because, you know, they follow the steps of, like, you know, that the police would take in an investigation to some extent. You know, they try to make it as realistic as they can without, you know, but also having a little bit of poetic license. So we've got exciting incidents and drama and stuff like that. It kind of goes out the window altogether. And there's no sort of, you know, like, the police, like, first of all, Samuel L. Jackson's character, Dan Lawson, is invited over to Scotland to be an advisor in this case, as you mentioned, because it's very similar to a case that he investigated but failed to solve, which the reasons why he failed to solve it become apparent toward the end 6 years later. So he's there. He's allowed to bring his fucking sidearm with him, apparently. Yeah. You know what I mean? Every scene that we see him in, almost, he's pissed, or he's having a drink or something. Like, pretty much every single fucking scene, by the way, he's either having a drink, or he's evidently just had a drink because he's a bit gallus and a bit wibbly wobbly. You know what I mean? It's just like, come on, you know, just settle down a bit. I mean, there's another one with Harvey Keitel, which is actually written by Peter McDougall, which we have to cover sometime, called Where the Buffalo Roam. But Harvey Keitel, he's an American policeman who comes to Fife. I think, I've not seen it, I think he comes to Fife because of the demonstrations at the nuclear plant, and there's like the submarine base, and there's like American submarines and servicemen there, and something happens, and that's why he's there. I feel pretty confident that when we watch Where the Buffalo Roam for the Culture Swally, the degree of realism will be quite refreshing after watching Damaged.
You're right, though. I think you've hit upon that very well. Things like Crime feel very realistic. Yeah. Again, I know you haven't seen Rebus, but it is very... There's not one point that I've watched that and I've thought, oh, well, that's never going to happen. Like, it does feel kind of... The police officers get punished for their actions if it's not by the book.
Yes.
There is no way that Glenn would still be involved in this case after his wife has been murdered.
Exactly.
And he's found her body parts. He would be off the case, away. I mean, even someone struck me, Kate Dickie, I guess she's the kind of the sergeant involved in the office. Do they still wear those uniforms? She's wearing she looks like June from The Bill. Like,
Juliet
with her little cravat. Like, do they still wear those? I don't think they do. Do they?
I would be very surprised if they did. You know, when I was a kid and you saw a policeman, he would always have like a tunic on, like a pair of immaculately pressed trousers, and they used to wear Doc Martens as well. Now when you see a policeman in the UK, they've got a utility belt like fucking Batman, right? With all their mace spray and their bits of their walkie-talkie and everything hanging off it. They've got what are clearly steel toe-capped, like almost army boots on, and then they'll have like not even like a shirt with a collar anymore. It's sort of like there's no collar, I think, and it's almost like a kind of sports top, even. You know what I mean?
Guess it makes it less difficult to grab,
and probably more comfortable to wear because in the summer it'll be breathable, and you know you don't get too hot and whatnot. You know.
Because I have to say, I was surprised the other day. I mean, I guess I'm getting old. I was at Central Station, and a couple of police officers passed me in Amsterdam, and one of the male cop, he was wearing a t-shirt with like his vest on top. He had his army belt, and they have like a gun. I don't know if it's a firearm or a stun gun that they have here. He had like both arms, full sleeves tattoos.
Yeah.
He had earrings. He had about 5 earrings in each ear.
Right.
And a massive goatee beard that you're thinking...
It's like a hipster policeman.
Someone's going to just fucking pull that, surely, if you're getting into a fight. Like, going to pull that. It just struck me as a bit odd. Like, gone are the days where you have to be, you know, clean cut, no tattoos, no piercings, and stuff like that, because you would think it'd be something people could grab.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just, I don't know. The uniform took me out a little bit. Not very believable police procedural.
But the thing is, like, in a well-written, well-crafted police procedural film or TV show, even when they do take a little bit of poetic license for, to create a dramatic moment or whatever, to like us, the audience, who obviously aren't policemen or women, it can feel kind of plausible, because they've created the world for you that you're watching, and they've sort of taught you a little bit about, well, you can't enter someone's home without a warrant, for example. Policemen don't routinely carry automatic pistols. For example, it's not acceptable, even if you're advising, to be fucking drunk all the time when you're at work.
I feel we've been quite harsh on this, Greg. Let's have a positive note. I think the crime scenes that they have here are quite well done. They're quite grisly.
Yep.
And you see just enough in kind of flashes, but not, it makes an impact, but it's not too much, if that makes sense. Like, it's not like a Hostel situation. It's quite well done, I think, in terms of the crime scenes. You see enough to know what's happened and what's going on, but not over the top gruesomeness.
Yeah. I mean, we have been pretty hard on the film, broadly speaking, but, it's well shot, to be fair. The Edinburgh scenes and stuff that we've seen, very well shot, countryside, etc. The murder scenes, as you've mentioned. And then the film's sort of saving grace is the twist at the end that comes out of nowhere. So the film has followed Dan Lawson. The first scene, he is in Chicago at work, pissed as usual, it seems. And he's called to the scene of what turns out to be a gangland murder. He solves it in like 2 minutes, short of naming the actual perpetrator. And then he's off to Edinburgh to advise, like, maybe what sounds like that policeman that you saw in Amsterdam gets into his car to tell him that there's been a murder like the one that he couldn't solve, and he's been invited to Edinburgh. So we're with him the whole time, and at no point is there any suggestion that he is not the flawed hero here. Until they set this scene up that it could be his ex-partner, who is quite conveniently living in London, who gets a train up to Edinburgh to help out, the wonderfully named Walker Bravo, played by everyone's favourite French actor, Vincent Cassel. And where the red herring is sort of sold to us that maybe Walker is the murderer, and maybe that's why he's come to try and prevent himself being caught or whatever. And then it turns out, against everyone's expectations, that the actual murderer is Samuel L. Jackson's character, Dan Lawson, after all.
Yes. Now, I did not see this twist coming at all.
I didn't.
I thought it was Walker all along, and I was genuinely shocked and probably elevated this film at least a couple of points. Because I was like, wow, I did not see that coming. And a great twist, and it's quite well explained. And I did you just watch this the once or twice?
I only watched it once, yeah.
I watched it twice, and when you watch it again, there are subtle clues.
Really?
But they're very subtle. You would not pick up on them unless you know. And they do that quite well. There are a couple of knowing looks or a couple of comments made.
Right.
And I have to admit, that is quite well done.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a great twist. The finale is perhaps not that well executed. We've got like a fairly lackluster car chase, which results in a fairly minor accident that seems to absolutely knock Glen Boyd for 6. Right.
So my points on this would be, it's 2024.
Yeah.
Do we really need new metal when we're having a car chase? Like, is there a need for new metal on a soundtrack in 2024? Kind of took me out of it a little bit. You're right. He has a minor little crash into a pile of logs. I would be suing BMW because his airbag doesn't go off.
His airbag doesn't go off, yeah. But everyone knows.
Obviously, they couldn't afford that in the budget, probably.
It costs a lot of money to reset an airbag if the car isn't written on. And then, famously, the thing is I think Samuel L's in an Audi, right? And Glen's in a Beamer. So the Audi, front wheel drive, handles a lot better than the rear wheel drive BMW, especially when you get off-road and it's a little slippy or whatever. Even the what is it, like an A6 or something that Samuel L's driving. That's going to do better on a farm track than the BMW.
Before they get to that, though, did you catch that when Glen calls in to the station to say, he says, "I'm in pursuit heading east on Livingston Highway."
Yeah, I was going to say, what, do you mean the M8?
yeah. I've literally got ready here. Like, why didn't you just say the M8? Like, I'm on Livingston Highway.
Yeah. There's every chance that if people aren't familiar with the M8, then they're probably not familiar with Livingston anyway, so...
Absolutely bizarre. So yes, you're right. They go off-road, they get into the woods. There's a shootout. Was this meant to be? Did Gianni Capaldi? He'd watched Seven, finished that.
Yeah.
He'd watched Point Break, and he thought of the gun thing. He's like, how do I end this? And then one night he sat and watched Heat, and he thought, you know what? I'm going to make a really shit version of this ending. In terms of... Because Samuel L. Jackson and Capaldi in those woods shooting each other it's a shit version of the ending of Heat.
Yeah.
Pacino and De Niro under LAX.
Yeah.
But it just reminded me of that, but like a really bad version.
Yeah, there is a bit of that in there now you mention it. But then, of course, the sort of final little sting is Lawson gets away with it. And then we have that pointless scene where they think they've got him in Ireland because it's in a similar car, which seems to be the only explanation.
I like the fact that Lawson gets away with it. Obviously, it's baiting for a sequel.
Yeah.
However, the fucking scene, obviously Samuel L. Jackson had flown back to America and they were like, oh fuck, we need to shoot a final scene. So they have him, obviously back in the States, standing next to a Land Rover, standing in front of the worst green screen I have ever seen in my entire life, knocking back a miniature and just chuckling to himself. And I am positive he looks at the camera at one point, breaking the fourth wall, as if to be like, I know, this is fucking shit, isn't it?
He's looking at the camera saying, you might not have enjoyed this film, but it's bought me a lot of golf in Scotland.
And just chuckles and gets in the car. I do like the ending that he kind of effectively gets away, but oh my God, that green screen is the worst thing I have ever seen. How? Why? Come on. Just, oh my God, it's so bad. But yeah, they were really going for a sequel, but spoiler, I don't think that's going to happen.
It's been absolutely destroyed critically, this film. I think it's something like I think it owes Rotten Tomatoes like percentage. It's so low. No, it's 27% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes and 4.6 out of 10 on IMDb. What does Rotten Tomatoes say? Terrible, ridiculous plot, terrible acting. Damaged isn't trying to be a meme. It's playing things completely straight. That sincerity and the apparent genuine commitment of top-tier performers like Jackson is what makes this ripely absurd film at least half worth watching. That's probably fair, to be honest. That's probably because it is worth watching because of most of the cast. Frank Schreck, the Hollywood Reporter, says, unfortunately, the ending isn't nearly enough compensation for the roughly 90 minutes of tedium preceding it.
I think I summed it up at the start when I said this was enjoyable pish. However, I can never forgive this film for the fact that it is Brian McCardie's last film.
Yeah, what a shame for Brian McCardie to go out on this film as well, because it's not a great film, although the moments that he is in the film, it does get marginally better for that short time that the camera's on him. But the last thing that I saw McCardie in that is relatively recent was the prison drama with Sean Bean and Stephen Graham. Time, was it called, on BBC?
Yeah. However, I will dispute you on that. Greg. That was, although maybe that was the last thing you saw him in.
Last thing I saw him in, I think.
Time-wise, the year after that, he played Norrie Erskine in Crime.
Of course. Yes, that's right. He did, yeah. Sorry. And I wish I did see. That would have been the last thing I saw him in, actually. Wow. But he's very, very good as the sort of the kind of prison, the kind of top prisoner in time, you know.
He's such a he's such a wonderful actor. I miss him so much. Like in terms of we need to do more stuff. I have got something with Brian McCardie slated, but that will be early next year because obviously it's your choice next. Then we have Christmas and New Year, Best in News, and then I know what I'm doing for the first episode. So probably maybe February we'll do something with Brian McCardie in it. Cool. For sure. So Damaged. Yeah. It's an enjoyable pish is the best way. It's okay. It's fine.
Yeah. It's one of those films as well where the title doesn't make anything to do with the plot whatsoever.
I had thought about that all week. However, you said something about an hour ago and you said how Glenn is damaged by the death of his wife and the affair that he had. In fact, we didn't even speak about the reason that Samuel L. Jackson committed these murders. His wife had an affair with milk drinker Vincent Cassell.
Yeah.
And he accidentally killed her because he says she fell, but then he cut her up and rearranged her body parts and hid the torso
to make it look like it was a serial killer and it wasn't a domestic dispute.
And then decides to go on and murder the florist, the person that booked them into the hotel room.
Yeah.
Who else was it he murdered?
The waiter.
The florist.
The waiter.
The waiter.
At the restaurant.
Yeah. Just goes on to go on this spree of killing like 5 people just to cover up the one accidental death. And as he famously says, but as he says in the film, nobody knew he was involved with Sarah apart from Walker Bravo.
Yeah.
So couldn't he have just left her and no one would have linked them apart from Walker Bravo, who wouldn't link them because he's like, oh fuck, I was shagging her on the side, so I can't really say anything.
Yeah, and I'm so disturbed by seeing somebody I've had sex with be cut up into bits that I've had to retire from being a policeman and go into the security business, which is essentially the implication, right?
Yeah, I think that's worse than the new metal they have during the car chase. Yeah. And that's saying something. Like, it's, this film's bad, but it's enjoyable pish.
Yeah, this film's bad, and here's Alien Ant Farm just to make it even worse. Right, shall we put Damaged through our Swally Awards?
Let's do it, Greg. What have we got first?
Okay, so the first one then is the pub, or otherwise known as the Bobby the Barman Award for the best bar in the show. There's 1 or 2 to choose from here. I'll give you a clue which one I didn't pick the Tower Bar because it looks fucking depressing as fuck.
It does. So it's the Old Town Hotel Bar or the Tower Bar. I'd quite fancy a wee pint in the Old Town Hotel Bar. I like that.
I would enjoy. Nice. I'd be sitting with you in front of the fire on a winter's night, enjoying a pint of export or something like that. It'd be good. Next award then is the James Cosmo Award for being in everything Scottish. So 2 clear choices here. I'm interested in which one you went with.
I'd say there's 3 clear choices here, Craig.
Oh, 3. Yeah, 3. McCardie. Yeah.
I've written all 3 down. To be fair, I'm in reality, Pettifer is probably the winner. But I'm going to give it to McCardie because he's dead.
Okay, fair enough. I had given it to Dickie because latterly in the last few years, that she seems to be going through a bit of a purple patch. She, not necessarily just in Scottish productions, but she even turned up in series 2 of Loki on Disney Plus as well.
Famously Scottish show.
Exactly.
She wasn't in my 3, Greg. Smith was the 3rd.
Right. Okay. I don't know. I don't think Elaine C. Smith. I think she sort of lacks the ubiquitousness of McCardie, Dickie, and Pettifer. I think
potentially, yes, could be argued. But yeah, I'll give you that.
Next one then, the Jake McQuillan Yartizoot McCafferty Award for unexpected violence. With this one, I went for Walker Bravo's getting shot in the gut. But we don't actually see it, but we see obviously the aftermath of it after him and Lawson have been wrestling for the gun. What did you pick?
Yeah, I guess they didn't have the budget for a blood pack for that. I went for McGregor being stabbed whilst he's having a pish against his Land Rover.
Yes.
Because I didn't see that coming.
No.
And I guess he was a bad man, so it is a tease.
Neither did he, apparently. So
no.
Did you get off watching people trying to take a piss?
Next one then, the Hugh McGregor Award for gratuitous nudity. No sexy nudity in this, but we do see images of dismembered dead bodies.
However, we don't see any torsos, so you never actually see anything, Greg. It's all just legs, arms and head. You don't see any torso. And the one torso you do see is in a burn and it's clothed, which is bizarre.
Knickers
Why
on,
have you kept the clothes on the torso?
Yeah.
So there's no nudity in this. I double checked on my second watch.
Let me ask you a question, right? If you were trying to make a name for yourself as a respected actor, and you got yourself an agent, and you were getting your membership to what's the membership that they all have to have? Equity in the UK. Equity, right?
Equity, I think.
Yeah. If your second name was Haddock, I think you might change it to something else.
Maybe, but then it's memorable, isn't it?
Yeah, but
you're going to change it to Laura Seabass.
I mean, would the
Laura
big question?
Pollock.
I mean, it's better than Haddock. The question that everybody should be asking is: would Laura Haddock be enjoying a better career and not having to appear in things like Transformers: The Last Night and Damaged if her second name wasn't Haddock? It's not exactly like a band. You're not exactly going to see it above like a film title. Angelina Jolie and Laura Haddock star in. Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't sort of add up.
You do make a valid point there. I never thought about that, but you're right. Yeah. You could be onto something there.
Just been thinking.
Yeah,
just been thinking about Laura Haddock too much. Next one then is the Francis Begbie Award for gratuitous swearing. So for a Scottish police production, you would expect more C-bombs and whatnot. It's not like a particularly sweary film. I went for the one that you mentioned earlier on, Brian McCardie telling Gianni Capaldi to fuck off to have a warrant. Dickie also has a good one. Don't fuck this up, Glenn, which is quite a good one. You have anything to add to that?
No, McCarthy was the one I had, and it's purely for the delivery. Brian McCardie's gravel voice of, well, fuck off then. It's just, it's beautiful. I did like Dickie's. I'm surprised Samuel L. Jackson didn't say motherfucker in this film, actually.
Yeah, it's sort of it's kind of his thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's his MO, isn't it? Yeah. Well, his MO in this film is cutting up bodies and putting them in religious symbols.
Yeah, and drinking whiskey inefficiently.
Yes.
So next one then, archetypal Scottish moment. So if there's news stories of anything to believe over the last 4 years, wanking outside could be up there. But I went for the second victim that we see being...
Oh my God, this is exactly what I've got. I know exactly what you're about to say.
She's about to tuck into a plate of mince and tatties just before she's dispatched. What did you go for?
It's exactly what I've written down. The second murder written, sitting down to a plate of mince and tatties before she's murdered. Like, it's how... A shout out to Samuel L. Jackson's hotel room, which is just plastered in tartan wallpaper and bedspread and stuff. I had she's sitting down to a plate of mince and tatties and like watching Reporting Scotland or something. She's off. Yeah, it's exactly what I had.
Yeah, brilliant. And then the last one then is our Sean Connery Big Tam Award. Who wins the production for you?
Oh, Jesus, nobody. I'd written Samuel L. Jackson. You know what? No, I'm giving it to Brian McCardie.
Yeah.
He's only in 2 scenes, but he was the best thing about this film.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, we didn't talk too much about him, but I like Cassell. You know, he's sort of understated.
Yeah.
I think he sort of gets what he's, you know, I think he sort of understands, you know, like, I'm here to kind of lead the viewer away from Dan Lawson as the murderer and stuff, you know. And
I get you're a recovering alcoholic, but why are you drinking a pint of milk in the pub? Surely you have a tonic water or a soda water or something. Why are you drinking a pint of milk?
I remember one time when I tried to give up smoking when I was younger, I sort of substituted cigarettes for refreshers. Remember, like the packets of refreshers?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just fucking guzzling refreshers, and it was just better to go back to cigarettes. So it was before my teeth fell out.
Yeah, there was a time I gave up smoking and I got addicted to Milky Bar Moo Chews.
Oh, they're lovely though.
And I was eating about 6 a day, yeah.
My daughter
I went back on the facts.
My daughter went out trick-or-treating on Halloween, and she brought back, you know, those sort of milk sweets? They're like soft, chewy sweets, so they're supposed to taste, they don't taste anything like milk, but they're sold as tasting like milk. They used to get them, like, instead of cola bottles.
Yeah, they're little milk bottles.
Little milk bottles, yeah. I fucking love them.
They've got more of a vanilla taste.
Yes, exactly that. Perfect description of it, yeah. I fucking love them. But I try not to eat too many sweets these days because, you know, I'm an athlete.
Oh, yeah, you are indeed. Right. Wonderful. Well, that was Damaged. It was pish. It's available whenever. Enjoyable pish.
Enjoyable pish. You get it on the Apple. You get it in Apple. You can get it on Amazon. I'm sure I'm sure a few of the streamers might even have it in your region if you have a look.
Yeah, it's enjoyable pish, but
yeah,
I'd recommend watching it actually, just for nonsense.
Yeah. I mean,
to have fun.
Hopefully you've watched it already, because we did warn you at the start that we're going to spoil the best part about the film, which is the twist at the end. So hopefully you've already watched it. If you haven't, you may not enjoy it so much because we've given the game away the last 2 hours.
Yeah.
Last hour or so.
Say, the twist was the best thing about this film. That and the new metal. Okay. So that was my choice, Greg. So before we go into our Christmas and New Year episodes, this is kind of our last non-festive episode of the year.
Yeah. Why
don't you tell us what we're going to be talking about on the next episode of the Culture Swally?
Well, I've chosen something that is not festive at all. Now, we have covered, I would say, maybe about 70% of Peter McDougall's best known productions that he did for the BBC and British television, generally speaking. But there's always been one that, as far as I know, has never been available on DVD, although it might be now. It's not one that is never discussed with the likes of Elephant's Graveyard or Just a Boys Game or whatever, and it's been quite elusive, but it's now on YouTube. You found it the other week, so I picked it. So for next week, next episode rather, so it filmed in 1986, TV movie, starring Jimmy Nail, famous Scottish actor Jimmy Nail, but also Brian Knox, Billy McCall, who we last looked at something he was in the Swally when we did Slab Boys. And it's set in Edinburgh in the 80s, which is famously when Edinburgh was sort of drugs capital of perhaps Europe. It was certainly the AIDS capital. And it's Shoot for the Sun. So I'm looking forward to talking about that. I've watched it already, but I'm going to watch it again before we record. I'm looking forward to talking to you about it.
Fantastic. Yeah, I know you had mentioned that a few times. I think I've seen it once, like years and years ago. Maybe I haven't, but I haven't watched it again. But I did. I have a list of things that are very difficult to find. In fact, we mentioned one earlier. You mentioned one earlier this episode that I haven't been able to find. And I periodically search for them. And yes, I found someone had uploaded this to YouTube just recently. So I was delighted to find it. And I sent it to you. And I fucking knew you would pick that next. I knew
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, well, I will look forward to discussing that with you on the next episode. So Shoot for the Sun, and it is available on YouTube. It was. I'm sure it still is.
It still is. I checked this morning. So if you want to watch it before you hear us talking about it, that's where you can find it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for listening, everyone. I hope you weren't too damaged by this episode. If you want to get in touch with us, you can. You can email us on cultureswally@gmail.com, and feel free to get in touch with any requests, any news stories you've seen, or if you just want to say hello, just drop us a line. You can follow us on Insta. We are available at Culture Swally Pod, and we are on X. We never post there though, but I'm going to start doing that. Formerly known as Twitter, at Swally Pod. And we have a wonderful website as well, don't we, Greg?
Yep, you can find us at cultureswally.com with links to all the episodes and some blogs and articles about Scottish news and pop culture.
Up to anything exciting this afternoon, Greg?
Nope. I've got a steak pie that's cooking just now, so I'm going to go and it's just like slow cooking nicely. Hopefully the meat will be nice and tender and ready for getting pastryed in a minute or two. So yeah, that's it. That's all I'm doing. I promised my daughter. Well, my daughter didn't promise. My daughter asked me if she got all her homework done, if I would play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, on the PlayStation with her later on.
Oh, lovely.
I don't need much of an excuse to do that, so that's probably how I'll be spending part of my evening. What about you?
Lovely. Nothing much exciting planned, to be perfectly honest. No, nothing at all. Nothing exciting. Probably start editing this. Watch Shoot for the Sun, because you've told me earlier that we're recording quite soon
yes.
that episode, so I might watch that.
I heard that as what Shoot for the Sun for some reason. I was thinking, but that makes sense now that you said that.
Probably going to watch Shoot for the Sun and do the ironing, so that'll be exciting.
Cool.
No, I'm going to go and wank in someone's garden. Because
into someone's beard balm.
Wank into someone's garden in their beard balm.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm going to do.
My mortal enemy.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you very much. Until next time.
Until next time, beware cultists that look like Roy Wood.
What religion are you? An atheist?
Men with no raison d'etre. I have a purpose in life.
Oh, man who likes to show people the way. Grace Hall was lost. Did you help her?
We all have a calling, don't we? She was a Catholic. She should have asked her priest.
And Abigail should have asked her rabbi. Are you a wolf in sheep's clothing, Mr. McGregor?